Wonderful. All right. So you guys are first, you're through the first 3 sessions of Ignite. How many people have been to all the sessions of Ignite so far? And you're knocking it out of the park. I love that, Diana. Awesome. The important part about this, and unfortunately, we don't have time to go around the room and find out everybody's favorite color and what your work situation is. But if you're a dual career agent, or if you're all in full time, and I guess I'll speak to the dual career agents because I trust you found value in Ignite at night because you weren't available during the day. Maybe how many people are dual career? If you can raise your hand. You're raising your hand with your camera off right now. That is so ineffective. But anyway, we appreciate that you raised your hand anyway. If you're a dual career agent, all I can tell you as a coach is whatever minutes you have to do your KW stuff, just beat the daylights out of those minutes. That's how you're going to get stuff done. And these classes are very important. It's taking what you learn in these classes and just implement one new thing every day. And right now, for most of you, if you're just getting started, how many brand new agents do we have? You just landed in real estate. How many agents are new to KW? And from somewhere else. Okay. So, you're getting Kellerized, whether you're new or new to the company. The most important thing you can do is make sure that you have a schedule. Everyone at the company has access to a Google Calendar. Use that calendar to tell your face what to do every day. That's going to be the easiest thing for you. We're going to talk about defining your value tonight. And I think people overcomplicate that. I don't know Ashley's take per se, but I think she and I are on the same page. I think people overcomplicate defining your value. Like, hey, why should I work with you? And everybody thinks they need a 17.5-second elevator speech. And honestly, I think I've got something that I grew into that made sense for me that broke people's thinking so they would approach it differently. And we'll get there. Again, if you've got any questions moving forward, by all means, just unmute, raise a hand, yell and scream, and we'll answer your questions. Deal? Sound good? Awesome. And we're clicking, but it's not clicking. There we go. All right. We had to do it. Presuming that Jason Abrams is listening, we have to talk about the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. The safest way to avoid getting sued or approached for money, because a singular violation is $43,000. Way to crush your soul at the top of the class, I know. You want to use the do not call list. If you're not using the do not call list, you run the risk of getting reported, and somebody has to be really persnickety and angry at the same time to report you. And it happens because we're seeing lawsuits all the time. There's a fresh new lawsuit right now that actually our company is involved in again. I'll tell you right now, as your friend and your coach, just grab your phone. All the names in your phone are going to be the heirloom seedlings of your greatness. I'm not saying that people don't have success with aggregators. Think Billo. I'm not using the Z because they're a brokerage and we don't want to break the code of ethics, right? Think Billo. Think all the aggregators you could send a check to get a list of names. The challenge there is, and if you have a dialer or anything like that, they're all going to tell you, oh no, we scrubbed the list. Did they? Are you sure? Are you $43,000 sure that they scrubbed the list? The names in your phone might be on the do not call list, but you also have a relationship with them. So start there. That's where you should be making your calls. But don't forget, there is a violation if you break that code. You can go to donotcall.gov and set up your own account. It is free and it's worth your while. The best way to avoid the do not call list is don't call numbers you don't know. Call the people that you know and love and trust. That's where the business is going to grow for you the quickest. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here that I shouldn't scream through too fast. Fair housing, you guys know about that. AI disclaimer is in here. It's all in the notes. It'll be on the quiz later. We're doing a quiz at 7:45. You're all leaving at 7:44 now. Good. Awesome. So we're in the real estate expert column right now, and we're wrapping this up. You did spark your career, embrace your job, connect with your market. Now we're going to talk about defining your value tonight. We're going to go through the value proposition. We're going to talk about what matters to buyers and sellers. We're going to define your value proposition so you come up with what you feel defines you, sets you apart. And then we're going to recap and get ahas. We're going to need people to raise their hand and get involved and say, I actually learned something tonight because it's being recorded. And that way, Ashley and I get to keep our jobs, which we really appreciate. And then we're going to go over the daily success system, things we should be doing every day to make sure we're moving the needle. If you spend one full day, does anybody know what Gary defines as the 5 jobs of a real estate agent? Somebody unmute.
1, gen lead or lead generation.
Lead generation is 1. Is it Raina? Is that how I'm pronouncing your name?
Yes.
Okay. So lead generation is 1. Do you know the other 4? It's okay. No, just say no. It's fine. There's no judgment.
Nope.
Okay, awesome. I mean, it's being recorded, so people will judge you later, I'm sure, but I'm not judging you right now. So Gary's 5, and I love Gary. Hi, Gary. To me, they're out of order. My pea brain doesn't understand the order he put them in, but I'm just going to give you Gary's order. Gary's 5 roles of a realtor every day is lead gen, lead follow-up, and then after lunch, we go on appointments, negotiate contracts, and then number 5, Gary has script and role play. To me, I would do that first. And I'm going to add another one. So Tim's 6 roles of a real estate agent, if you want the bonus question. I would say we're going to get up and we're going to script and role play first. Then we're going to lead generate. And lead generate doesn't mean you have to set an appointment. Lead generate means Raina needs to talk to her friend Julie. And hopefully Julie says, hey, you know what? My friend Tracy is looking for a condo. That is generating a lead. That's success, right? Building our sphere. So we're going to get up and script and role play. We're going to get up and lead generate. Then we're going to do lead follow-up. And this is where everybody falls on their face. Because as we're doing lead follow-up and we're nurturing these conversations, eventually you stay in contact with somebody after getting permission to be in business with them. And then they're like, hey, Raina, you know what? You had mentioned you're willing to do an equity update for us on our house. Could you do that for me? And you're like, of course, Julie. And then you hang up the phone, you don't make any notes in your command, and you forget to do it. So then they call you back in about 8 days. They're like, hey, Raina, you were going to do that equity update. And you're like, oh, crap, I forgot. So lead follow through, I think, comes after lead follow up. I think when we've done enough lead follow up and we've earned their trust and they ask us for service, and then we drop the ball because we're not taking notes because we don't have a system to fall back on, lead follow through. And it will happen to every one of you. And I can't wait for it to happen to you, because as soon as it does, you'll be like, oh, he wasn't making that up. You'll be doing enough business, it's going to happen to you. And that's okay. So script and role play, lead gen, lead follow up, lead follow through. Then after lunch, we go on appointments and negotiate contracts. So if we're doing some of those things every day, we're in a good place. If you're doing all those things every day, you're making money. If you're doing none of Gary's 5 jobs or Tim's 6 jobs, I'd ask you what you're doing. And if you're new to the business, or you're plugging back into the business and you're new to Keller Williams and you're busy getting ready to get ready, that could take forever. I don't want to make any phone calls. I don't know everything yet, Tim. You're never going to. Ashley, when will you know all the things? Tell me.
Not anytime soon.
Quarter past never. We're never going to know all the things. The beauty of joining Keller Williams, the leverage that Keller Williams gives you, like I said earlier, Market Center 463. We've got 560 agents. The power of that is you get to crowdsource that. What's everybody using right now? AI. What's AI? It is digital crowdsourcing. It's every piece of information from every brain on the planet in one space that is hyper thinking for you at the click of a button. So if you're comfortable, and that makes you, you know what, I could answer any question, because if I have any questions nowadays, it's 2025, I can just ask ChatGPT or Grok or whatever you're using. You have to have that same confidence in the Market Center that you joined. Your business is powered by the Market Center. So I need you to go out into the universe and just ask people, who do they know that you should know that you can help? Because when they do say to you, hey, you know what, I've got a friend, Julie, she needs a condo. Can you help her? The answer is yes. It's Keller Williams. Like if your fat Uncle Tony wants to put a pizza place on Mars, we have a shuttle and a commercial group. We'll figure it out. You just got to connect with the people at your Market Center that are going to help you. Does that make sense? You didn't join this company to say no to anybody. It's never going to be no, because it's always going to be yes and. Okay? Awesome. So we're going to talk about your daily success system, the fact that you are making sure you're having enough conversations every day. It's wildly important that you're having enough conversations. Brady Sondal, who runs the luxury group, said this a couple of years ago. Your life will be commensurate with the level and amount of questions that you ask. Great leaders don't have all the answers. We have all the questions. We want to just stay curious, because when you stay curious and you're asking questions about the consumer in front of you or the client in front of you, you're making them the star of the show. And then they get to talk. And the person who leaves the engagement, who spoke the most, will feel the meeting went the best. Okay? Awesome. If anybody else has a camera that works and it's not on, I would love it on. And I'm not going to be the teacher that keeps saying it. I might be. I'm in that mood tonight. But, you know, I'd love to see your smiling face if you can throw your camera on. If you're stuck in hair and makeup for the night, I completely get it. This is a mess. It takes hours. I have to get up at 3 in the morning. So, all right, the value proposition. We're up and away. Your value proposition is a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you. It addresses the specific and special needs of the buyers and the sellers in your market. It states what you will do, right? Your follow through after the follow up for your client to earn your commission or your fee. And it holds you accountable to high standards. And don't get wrapped up in it holds you accountable to high standards. It holds you accountable to your standards. You know, we have so many clunky terms that we throw around. Like the one that's probably the oldest right now is if you tomorrow, and I'll give you my number right now, 603-834-2856. If you don't hear somebody on planet America tomorrow use the term at the end of the day, call me, because there's no way you're going to avoid that. And the new corporate jargon that makes me want to jump out of a first floor window. I'm on the second floor, but I'll bounce. It'll be fine. The new one is everything's done at a high level. If I hear one more person say they're doing it at a high level, what does that mean? Can we define that? Or are we just throwing that around? You know, so my point in ranting about that is don't worry about, you know, when you read that accountable to very high standards or high standards, you have your standard. And that's going to continue to grow as you build your skill sets and your efficiencies. Don't overthink that. Don't get freaked out by that. I can't go out there. I'm not doing things at a high level yet. Because if you walk up to a top producer and just say, yeah, you were just on stage with Gary, you do everything at a high level, what do you do? And they're like, I don't really know. I just talked to Gary, my whole staff behind me. They're the geniuses, right? I'll pick on him. He's not here. If he was in the room, I'd pick on him. Nate Dickey, who owns our market center, our regional director, love him to death. He's responsible for waking up and showing up and talking and taking care of everybody in the region. I love him to death. I'm not going to say he does it at a high level. He does it to the best of his ability every day, which is what the standard is for him. And he's able to do it because everyone else around him is doing their job. You guys, you might feel like it's just me right now. I'm just a party of one, Tim. It's just me and my cat Mittens. Tell her I said hello. Hello, she looks great. If it's just you and your cat right now, that's your team. That's cool. But you're going to build your team even if they're not employees in your universe. You're going to have your lender, you're going to have your title company, all that kind of stuff. You're going to create relationships with people that you trust. And the people you'll understand moving forward that you bring into your universe, you're going to have to make sure they understand your standard. Leadership exists when we leave the room. So when you go away as you build your business, is anybody here a veteran? Do we have anybody 2, 3, 5, 15, 38 years in the business? Throw a hand up. Okay. You're going to get to a point where you're going to go on vacation and you're going to get back and be like, oh my God, it broke. Well, if it breaks when you go on vacation, it was never working to begin with, right? So that's why you need to be concerned about bringing the right people in. And it doesn't mean if you're a solo artist, you have to have 38 people on your staff before you go to Cape Cod. My point is you need to have people you trust within your market center that are going to watch your business when you go away, and systems in place that will make sure everything runs at your standard before you go away. So I'm not saying don't have high standards. I'm just saying have your standard and continue to make that grow over time through your efforts. Does anybody, show of hands, or if anybody wants to come off mute, does anybody have their unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that you would toss at me in 22 seconds in the elevator to convince me that I should work with you? If somebody caught you tomorrow in the wild and said, Raina, Bruce, Cheryl, why should I work with you? What would you say? Anybody can come off mute and answer.
Because I won't quit until I find what you're looking for.
You won't quit till you find what till you find what I'm looking for. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it. What else? What else we got?
I would say my killer negotiation skills from 20 years in the corporate world and my knowledge of real estate through my own investments and partnerships.
Okay. I like it. Crystal, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. I would say all of that might be in a pre-listing packet under the about me. And I might not use that. And this is me. So tell me to shut up whenever you want. I'm happy to hear it. I don't know in the moment in which somebody throws at me in an elevator, which is probably never going to happen in your life. But when it comes up like, oh yeah, why should I work with you? Right. You're probably going to get that more often than not. You're going to get this question when you're calling an expired, right? Because they're pissed off because their house just didn't sell. And they're going to be throwing all these objections at you and they're just angry at the universe. And you might get the, yeah, well, so then why should I hire you? And I'm not saying what you just said is wrong, but you started out talking about yourself, right? And our job is to make sure that they feel like the star of the show. So what you just said, I love, and those should all be things that are in your about you and the pre-listing packet, right? And when you
That's
start
great
to build,
feedback. Thank you.
yeah, when you start to build that out, you guys are gonna figure out that your pre-listing packet, and the great Timmy Heil said this. He's one of the best agents in the company. He said, if your pre-listing packet is really fleshed out, all you have to do when you show up at the kitchen table for that listing appointment is bring a sharp crayon. Like they should be ready to sign. There's going to be a couple of things they're going to ask, and obviously you're going to talk about commission because it's so much fun. Which we won't do tonight because we're in a 6-state conversation. Talk to your brokers, talk to your leadership. I found over time, does anybody else have one they want to throw out before I throw out mine? And Ashley, you can throw out yours if you feel the need. Can I ask a quick question? If somebody asked you tomorrow in the elevator, would you stare at them like the way you're staring at me right now? Or would you say something? Or you just like, would you reach for the wall, scream fire, and pull the alarm and run out of the building? I don't know. I don't know what the move is. It's a lot of silence. And I love you guys. I want you to be successful, but silence will not win the day. It's coming from a guy that talks a lot. I get the irony. It's thick, but like you've got to say something.
Can I ask what the question, what did they ask us a question?
Yeah. When somebody hits you with, Kristen, all right, well, why should we work with you? What is your value proposition? What is your 17-second elevator speech?
Oh my gosh, I don't have that prepared. I just got, my stomach did a backflip when you asked me that question because I don't know what I would say in an elevator, actually.
It's fine. And going back to pick on Crystal, and she's going to be my punching bag tonight, I guess. I hope we'll be great friends in 2 hours. To pick on what Crystal did, I found myself doing what Crystal does. And our ego is automatically going to skate to that puck. So you shouldn't feel like, oh, you're like, if you're crossing out what you had because it was about you, sure it is. You have to talk about the value that you're bringing. And what did I say about 11 minutes ago, right? We don't have all the answers. We have all the questions. So what I found about 20 minutes into my freshman year of real estate was I'm going to stop trying to tell them why I'm great, because I wasn't. Because I was like you guys, like, I don't know what to say. Gotta say something. I can't pull the fire alarm. That's a great idea if you're in a pinch, but the authorities get pissed, so probably don't do that. I found the easiest thing for me to do, and just to break their thinking, because they're waiting for you to be like, you know why you should work with me? And like you start talking about yourself and you're great. They're expecting that. So I found what worked for me was when somebody said, all right, to me, well, why should we work with you? I appreciate the question, Kristen. And you know what? I'm not sure we should work together. But if you have a few minutes, I'd love to ask some questions to make sure that you and I are a fit. And the gloves drop. And the tension drops. Because first of all, they were never ready for that. They're waiting for you to be like, well, I'm the greatest. And then you're getting all your trophies out and your blue ribbons. Like they're waiting for you to talk about how amazing you are, to be braggadocious. And there's nothing wrong with that. You probably have an agent in your market center that does just that, and they probably still win business. I found for me personally, I'm not saying this is something you should adopt. If you're feeling self-conscious about, oh my God, what's that answer? Or like Kristen just said, I'm about to throw up right now, then just give it a shot. Because it automatically drops the tension between the two of you. And notice I used inclusive language in there. Kristen, you know what? I'm not sure we should work together. If you have a few minutes, I'd love to ask you a few questions to make sure that we are a fit. I'm letting you know politely, I'm going to choose you too. As your coach, I want you to be in a position that you go to kitchen tables, and if the person on the other side of the kitchen table, stay with me on this, is crazy because they've got a $480,000 Gambrel that needs a new everything, and they're like, but the Joneses just went on for 2.9. That's 3 towns over, Barbara. That's nothing like your house. And if you can't get Manic to sit down, shut up, and agree on a real number, I want you to be able to push away from the table because somebody out there is dying to work with you. Does that make sense? So that inclusive language is really important. They're not ready for that either. They think we're all dying to work with them. And as you're getting started in your freshman year, if right now you're thinking, yeah, Timmy, I'm dying for my first client. I know you are. And as you build this career of yours, you're going to be like, oh, I get like a couple of buckets of stupid on the bus right now. I need to get rid of them. Because even though you're having a great career and you've got 8 great clients, you got 4 pending, you're going to Disney, you're sleeping in the castle, you're doing all the things that you wanted to do for your family, but you got like 2 clients that are just wonderful people. I'm going to keep it PG. We're being recorded. They're wonderful people. They will drag down everything. They will be time bandits and energy vampires. They will suck the life out of you. And this company thrives on the fact my job as a coach at my market center, my job as a coach in this region for you is to make sure that we send the best version of you home to your family. And a client that you are cartoon imagining their death, like, can you see them just like falling off a cliff? That would be great. Then I wouldn't have to fire them. And I promise you this, if I get any veteran agents in here, if you're thinking about firing your agent, they're probably thinking about firing you. And everybody's just too afraid to pick up the phone and have an honest conversation. And it's impossible. I promise you this. It's impossible to manage expectations you don't set. So you set the expectations from the top of the conversation by using that inclusive language. Now, I could easily say, great, I just gave you that. I gave you that verbiage. Let's all go home now. I still want you to work on your value proposition. If you have something that you think is great, if you've got Shakespeare ready, use it. But if you find whatever you came up with for language isn't working or you're uncomfortable because it doesn't feel authentic, I'm just telling you that felt authentic for me. And it always worked. Because people aren't expecting the pattern change. You'll hear that a lot when we talk about scripts and role plays and neuralistic programming. They're waiting to hear you say, the reason you should, well, I'm glad you asked, the reason you should work with me is in 1978, I got Realtor of the Year and I got a gold jacket. Like that, you know, I've got park benches all over town. They don't want to hear that. As soon as you turn it on them, I think that's a great way to get started. And when we talk about states what you will do, and who was it earlier? I apologize. Cheryl was like, I'm gonna work forever to get exactly what you need. The greatest thing to do when you are interviewing somebody, especially, and because this is what my next question would be, if I'm getting started with them and they're like, okay, let's talk then. Cheryl, if I can ask you, when it comes to a real estate agent, what are the things that are most important to you in your next realtor or in a new realtor or your first realtor, whatever their experience is? What are you looking for from the realtor that serves you next or wins the opportunity to sell your home?
Someone who listens.
What are the qualities you want? Go ahead.
Well, someone who's listening, who is kind of respectful of the things that I need or what I'm looking for, or what I would like to get. I would like advice as well. Someone who's knowledgeable. So if I was thinking of listing my home, but if I have an unrealistic number, I want somebody able to tell me that's probably not, the best number for this, or maybe let's look at more comps and take a look at what might be more feasible, something that's going to sell your home in a reasonable amount of time, but I also want to get the most money as possible too. So you want someone who's knowledgeable, you want someone who's listening, you want someone who's going to help you, and someone who actually cares about bringing in buyers, or staging things properly, or doing things that will help you move your property.
I appreciate that, Cheryl. So if I heard you correctly, knowledge is important. Someone who will listen is important. Being helpful, thoughtful, and you want honesty. If you're starting to jam yourself up, you want me to blow the whistle and pull you off the court and talk to you. Yes. Awesome. I appreciate that permission. And that's how that conversation goes. Now, you're probably getting back to, we talked about earlier. I'm going to go with O'Brien. I feel like a football coach because I can't remember her first name. And did she disappear? Did she leave? Crystal. There she is. Her screen's off. Crystal O'Brien was talking before about her negotiating skills. Sorry, not calling you out. Talking about her negotiating skills. I said that should be in the pre-listing packet. That would be great in the pre-listing packet. You're going to have 28, 36. I don't know how many bullet points you're going to have of all the things that you offer them, because we have to itemize all the things we're doing to win all of our apples, right? We're not going to talk about commissions tonight. We're going to talk about all of our apples, right? So we have to justify that with this laundry list of great things that we do. Now, I don't want to be a complete idiot, although it's my genius zone. I'm not going to take the 5 words that Cheryl just said to me and magically slide them to the top of my list, because she'll see that when she reads the pre-listing book. Oh, he put knowledgeable, listen, helpful, thoughtful, caring. It sounds like 5 of the 7 dwarfs, right? Like I look like an idiot if I slide those to the top, but I'm going to make sure they're above the fold. Does that make sense for my friends who read the Boston Globe at one point? I'm going to make sure they're above the fold. I'm going to make sure they're like, okay, it's obvious these are important to him too. But I'm not going to make them the first 5 just because you said that. So, but now when you're looking at the pre-listing packet, oh yeah, those are those things he said he was willing to do. And then we're just going to keep asking questions, because I heard you talk about the price being important, the time frame, all that kind of stuff. That's how we're going to win. So I think it's a great way to start a conversation without talking about you. It immediately starts curiosity, it immediately asks questions, and it's going to help you probably win more business. And I probably didn't go outside of my first 30, 45 days in real estate before I started using it. Because when we call an expireds, you're going to get that all the time. Where were you when we were selling our home? And then invariably we'd get the well, okay, then why should I hire you and your team? And I would say that, and they'd drop their gloves. The anger would go away. The confusion might set in a little bit, but that's also good for you because it just slows everything down. Right? Our job as realtors is to ask questions and deliver information when needed, but not necessarily like, oh, I know what she's about to ask, I'm just going to give her the answer. Just keep asking questions. And then ultimately, this is broker to broker, broker to client, peer to peer. Whether you're talking to an agent from another company across the table during the transaction, one of your fellow agents, anybody. This will work at home when you're trying to figure out what you're going to have for dinner. Bring water to the conversation, not kerosene, right? Like people go in and there's a fire started and they're like, oh, I'll amp this up. Like we want to go in with water. We want to cool down the situation. And the person who starts to get amped up or worked up or yells first is going to lose. And most of you that have been in the business world know that already. Any other questions on this slide before we move forward? Because we're already 30 minutes in, we're 2 slides in. So we're going to be here till midnight. Maybe we'll break for breakfast. Do you want to do a brunch? If you guys come up to Portsmouth, I'll buy half wraps for everybody. Series down on Penn Hollow. Wonderful, wonderful place.
And we do have a question in the chat.
I appreciate that.
Diana says, what are the qualities you want in a realtor? Weekly follows.
Weekly follows?
Not sure about the weekly follows part, but follow-ups, weekly follow-ups.
Oh yeah, I love that. Great. I love that you brought that up, Diana. This is always fascinating to me. When you start to get a bunch of clients, or any clients for that matter, one of your days of the week, especially as this catalog of clientele starts to build, and I ask this of our agents all the time, and I'm fascinated by the answers. So say you have, let's say we're a few years down the road and you got 10 or 12 active listings. And I'm like, how often do you talk to your listing clients? And like, well, when stuff comes up. If we're not talking to our clients, buyers who are searching or buyers who are in the mix, which obviously the conversation is going to ramp up once they're under contract. But if you have somebody listed in North America right now, and you have found that in 168 hours, you don't think there's a reason to call them because nothing's going on, that's why you call them. That's absolutely why you call them. So the weekly follow-ups, perfect, Diana. They're so important. They're so important. We will have people, they throw a sign in somebody's yard, and we'll go over this. It's the 3 Ps and the 7 Ps. And if I forget to get back to this, somebody remind me. If we're not having a conversation on a regular basis with our sellers, whether there's activity or no activity, we should be talking to them. Always. There's a conversation to be had. If somebody's been on the internet, and there's only one, I checked before class started, there's only one internet. And if they've been on the internet that touches Dubai, the North Pole, Guam, and Providence, Rhode Island, all at the same time, and 7 days have gone by and nobody's called with any interest on the house, do you know what that means? Drew, what does that mean?
I'll fess up. I was talking to my wife. I'm not sure what the question was.
Oh, we'll tell your wife I said hello.
Diana says price too high.
Yeah, it's the price. It's always
Madison
the price.
says
It's always the price. It's overpriced. It's always the price. And then you'll get people like, well, Timmy, it's in a quirky town. Price. It's got a weird driveway. Price. The neighbor's ugly. Price. Things that we can't change, right? If we can't make a cosmetic change or a structural change or an improvement to the condition, as soon as we're done improving conditions that we can change, the only condition that can move, the only needle that can move at that point is price. And I will take this one to the grave. It is impossible. Write this down. That'll be on the quiz later. We're not having a quiz. I'm just kidding. Maybe we will. Write this down. You will never, in any market, underprice a home. It is impossible in any market to underprice a home. Now, if I'm going to get somebody out of left field, they're like, but what if it's actually supposed to be 1.2 million and you put it on for $5? Go stand in the corner. Like, don't start with me on that. You know what I mean. You know what I mean? If you know the window of success in a market and you price it in that window, if not at the very bottom of that window, what does that do? What does everybody know that does?
Creates a multi-offer scenario.
Amen. It's going to create an auction effect, right? Conversely, if we overprice it, what does everybody in the market do? All the agents are like, what? Hey, wait a minute. It's almost 4:45 on a Friday. You know what Lindsay does at 4:45 on a Friday? He's going to lower Main Street. He's going to lower it $4,000, $5,000 maybe. Watch this. Watch this. And they're sitting there and they're refreshing the MLS. Like, see, there he did it. If we wait 7 more weeks, it'll be $30,000 less. It's a fool's errand because now you're chasing it's a race to the bottom. It's a race to the bottom. And what you're going to do is if you're getting started and you're going to recommend to your sellers, well, you know, and because we never tell people how to price things. And if your management, if your leadership in your market center feels differently, that's fine. Go talk to them. I'm going to recommend to you as your friend for the night and your coach that we never tell people how to price it. We're going to go in with the market data and we're going to basically say, hey, listen, the success window right now for a property like yours in the market that we're in is somewhere between 680 and 720. What did I just say, everybody? Where do you think I'm telling them to price it? Anybody?
700.
Yeah, close. I mean, I'm not going to say yes, because that would be telling you what the number is, but yeah, I feel like you're close. And then when they go, when they command me to go to 780, my conversation would be, I completely appreciate that, Mr. Lindsay. You know what? And we're working as a team. So would you be willing to move to 760 just to see if he'd move down? I'll do 770. Awesome, Mr. Lindsay. We're going to do 770. And this is what you could start doing with your contracts now. Again, talk to your brokers, talk to your leadership. We're going to start at 770 in 10 days. And you know what? Actually, it's 2025. In 7 days, if nobody calls, or after 7 showings, nobody offers, I can promise you, Mr. Lindsay, that means the entire internet has seen it and everyone's bored. And we need to move to that success window somewhere between 680 and 720. So we're going to start at 770 because we're working as a team. And the understanding is in 7 days, we'd make a price improvement to that success window. How does that sound? Awesome. Sign here. Does that make sense? I promise. And if your leadership feels differently, certainly have these conversations with them in contract class. I would never want one of our agents to walk away from a kitchen table without having some, you just want to make sure that you're negotiating as a teammate. reminding them, yeah, I'm not showing up with my ideas on how to sell your home. I'm showing up to interpret the market for you so together we can sell your home. And that's important language too. I'm not here to list your home, Raina. I'm here to sell it. Especially if I'm coming in on an expired. If somebody just wasted 6 months of your life, I'm gonna use that language for sure. I'm not gonna reference the other agent. I'm gonna talk about future greatness, but I'm gonna remind them I'm not here to list your house. I'm here to sell your house. So I appreciate that, Diana. Yeah, we should be checking in with our clients that are active buyers and active listed sellers, if not more than once a week. And I mean, even if nothing's going on, the conversation is the conversation. Great book, Fierce Conversations, Susan Scott. The conversation is the relationship. Like, why would you not talk to them? Because if you just go and throw a sign in their yard and you let days, weeks, months go by, and then the expiration date's coming up and you call like, hey, Raina, it's Timmy. Remember we met during the Obama administration? Yeah, I listed your house 32 years ago. Well, it's about to expire. And I'm going to ask you to trust me to screw it up again for another 32 months. Could you sign here? She's not going to sign here. Absent a conversation with me, absent updates from me every 168 hours. If you're running the math, that's a week, kids. Absent constant updates from me and communication from me about what's going on in the market and what's not going on in the market, the sale of her house. If I don't do that, she'll blame me. But if I'm constantly telling her what the market's doing and what her house isn't doing, not that she'll blame the market, but she'll blame what we're doing in the market. And I'm happy for her to use collective language because I allowed her to sit there. That's why I would say you would put that clause into your contract. We're going to start at your 770, Mr. Lindsay. And then in 7 days, no offers, no phone calls. We're going to move to that success window. How does that sound? Awesome. Sign here, right? And I know they're not signing here. It's just fun to say. Run your finger on the iPad here, right? Not even doing that. They're clicking a button. It's no fun anymore. Used to be really hard. 5 copies with a pen. The good old days. It's my gray hair showing. Any other questions before we move forward? And we have to skate quickly because we have an hour and 20 minutes. But I think we've covered a lot. Hopefully you've learned something. If the building explodes right now in Portsmouth, I'd tell the world my story and just tell somebody that you learned something tonight so far. Any questions before we move to the next slide? And with your permission, we'll start to skate a little bit quicker. And it's being recorded, so you could always ask Maggie for the audio transcript of this class and listen to it later, which I'm sure will put you right to sleep, which is fine. It's okay. My feelings aren't hurt. Gary Keller. Everybody know who he is? He's got a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the Red Book. Maybe you've seen it or heard of it or seen pictures. Top agents can easily explain what services they will provide to anyone who hires them. Top agents can easily explain the services they will provide to anyone who hires them. Now, he's not saying that you don't offer your value proposition or your services before somebody hires you. Yet as you continue and start to build your skill sets and your efficiencies and your confidence, right? And if you have a perceived lack of confidence right now, it's because you're probably failing. And this is what everyone says. Well, I don't know if I'm ready to go out there and start to work because I don't know all the things yet. We joked about that earlier, right? What you need to know is you are a text or a phone call away from all of the people at your market center that support you. And with that confidence, like just go. Nate Dickey, my first day of my freshman year, he's like, dude, we're making omelets. We're going to break some eggs. And we're going to make a mess. But we're going to make enough money. Here's where the leverage comes in. We're going to make enough money that you can hire people to pick up the mess. Right? Because if you're truly like a high D, high I salesperson, what do you want to do? You just want to go out and sign babies and get contracts. Does anybody in here love paperwork? Oh, one hand, Diana, we're not friends anymore. You had such a good question earlier, too. I thought we were going to be friends. Yeah, some people do. I'll tell you right now, if I came back when I was selling, if I came back and I was typing up a contract, holy Moses. I took typing. This is going to date me. I think it was like 1987 on a real typewriter, like type, run the bar back, you know? It's not good. My best use is to go back out, yell at more people, get more things signed, right? So as you start to build your skill set, and when you get to the point that you realize me sitting at a desk, and you all heard this in licensing class, every property has its highest and best use, yes? Every agent has their highest and best use. And if you're a one-man show and you're a maniac like Diana and you love paperwork, then go love the paperwork. Awesome. I love that she wants to go do her own paperwork. But when you get to a point in your career, you're like, this is not where I should be spending any of my time. That's when you should investigate services that might be at your market center, or just, you know, VTC or VAs, virtual transaction coordinators, virtual assistants. I'm not saying rush there now. We should all know how to do our paperwork before we hand it off to somebody else. But as soon as that becomes the fly in the ointment, you want to solve that crime. Because most of the VTCs right now are probably about $395, $400. At our market center, our average GCI check is about 11 grand. I will take $400 twice on Sunday before church every time to pay somebody else to do all the typing so I can go get more contracts, right? Because in the time it would take me to type up a contract, and Sue Doyle's on here, so is Kaylee Brackett, my MCA from my market center. In the time it would take me to type up a contract, I could have walked back to Versailles for the treaty meetings and made it on time. It wouldn't be good at all. You're welcome. Drew got that one. I like that. Awesome. That'll be on the quiz later. All right. Benefits of a value proposition. It helps your clients understand your value and your expertise. So again, value proposition here, you know, I think a lot of people in our industry are like, yeah, it's your elevator speech. And I made fun of that earlier. When somebody says, why should I work with you in the wild, face-to-face at a cocktail party or at an event, I would use the language that I gave you. You know, hey, I'm not sure we should work together. I'd love to find out more about what you're looking to do and make sure we are a match or see if we are a fit. Your value proposition stuff, I really think most of this belongs in the About Me section of your website and on your pre-listing packet and even your buyer packet. Any information that you're going to send out to people to make sure that they know that you're amazeballs, right? Because absent a relationship with us, all they have is your reputation. And your reputation can be built through word of mouth from other people that you've been in business with successfully, and also what they read everywhere. If you're just getting started, one of the benefits of Keller Williams, for the most part, and I know everybody can brand however they want with whatever colors they want, but most of our agents are going to use some semblance of white, black, red, silver, right? So Raina gets her first sign in the yard. And she has a couple of posts that have to do with real estate. And then she goes out for cocktails with her friend Julie, and her friend Julie's like, I see your stuff everywhere. Raina only has one sign. The benefit of our company is they also see Ashley's sign, Diana's sign. They also see Diana's paperwork because it's everywhere, right? So they're like, oh, I see you everywhere. No, you're seeing the brand everywhere. And that's the beauty of the size of our company, right? So I'm not going to mention any names, but we have so many people who are like, I don't know if I want to go to Keller Williams. It's so big. I want a small little boutique. The beauty of our company is, and it's probably true at your market center too, we have, and I'm going to make up a number right now. I think we have, and Ashley can probably help me with this. We probably have about 60 to 70 teams at our market center. And still, most of our market center are solo artists. But of those 60 to 75 teams, most of them have branded themselves. And they also have the ability to use whatever colors they want. So they could be a boutique business inside of Nate's business, inside of Gary's business. I think the size of our company, the scope of our company, the benefit of that is people think they saw Raina's signs everywhere. It's like the Mandela effect, right? Everybody's convinced there was no K in Chick-fil-A. I'm also on that. But they didn't see a million of your signs, Raina. They saw a lot of KW signs. And the other thing that edifies you is when they're driving home to their kitchen table to meet with you to see if they want to list with you, it's the RAS, right? Reticular Activating System. You buy a red car, you see red cars. If you buy a new car, a new model, all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my God, I bought a white SUV. I see white SUVs everywhere. They're thinking Keller Williams, they start to see it everywhere. And this is a long time coming. We're, thank God. Our little company here, 463, started 21 years ago. When Nate called me and said he opened up a Keller Williams, I wasn't in the industry yet, and I thought he opened a paint store, right? So now we're a nationally known brand, but we weren't. It was questionable at best. It also protects your commission and your fee. Making sure, and this goes back to what Timmy Hiles said, making sure that your pre-listing packet for your sellers, your buyer packet for any consumer, what the reputation is out there, what it says on your website, your Google reviews. All of that kind of stuff is going to make people not balk when you put paperwork in front of them with a commission on it. They're not going to jump and be like, oh, I don't know about that, right? Because even if they've never stayed at your hotel, they've heard from people that have stayed at your hotel. Like, I'm just going to do a quick social experiment. If I said to you guys, tomorrow night's class is at the Ritz-Carlton, how many people would be there early? You're like, oh, 6 to 8 at the Ritz. Yeah, there it is. Bruce is like, yup, I'm going to get the steak tartare. It's going to be wonderful. Getting a smoked old fashioned. If I told you tomorrow night's class is at the Red Roof Inn, you'd be like, is it going to get recorded? Right? And nothing against the Red Roof Inn. It's a wonderful establishment. Immediately, you know what the value of both of those experiences are. So the more that we can, and I'm not saying to be disingenuous and tell lies and have people say that they worked with you when they didn't. As you have your clients start to have success with you, you always ask them for a review. And don't ask for a review. Ask for a 5-star review, nothing less. Nothing less. There's a great, his name is Mike Hicks. He's down in the Carolinas. And some of you might have heard of this. You can Google it. That's French for look it up. Go on the Googles, look up Mike Hicks, The Promise. He's a KW agent. And his whole team has drilled into their heads the whole promise that they do. So when Mike Hicks is sitting with a client, he's like, here's what I know, Mr. Lindsay. There are going to be some bumps in the road as we get your house sold or as we help you buy your next house, whatever the transaction is. We just know historically there's going to be some bumps in the road. Now, with my team in place, we're hoping you don't really experience the turbulence. And I can promise you this, Mr. Lindsay, we're going to get you to the closing table. Does that sound good? Of course, the client's like, sure. Now, with that promise in place, are you willing to make a promise to me as well? And you're in the honeymoon period. So, of course, they're going to be like, yeah, Michael, whatever you want. They're like resting their head in their hands. And he's like, all I ask is that between now and the end of the transaction, when you're getting your check and your keys, is that you introduce us to somebody that you know and love and trust so we can help them as well. Could you do that? And in the moment, people are like, sure. Sure, I'd be happy to do that. What they're not expecting is every engagement that the client has with the Hicks team for the rest of the transaction is going to end with, because it could be Julie from the office calling and saying, hey, Mr. Lindsay, I know Mike told you that the photographer is heading over tomorrow at 4. We have the stager coming through at 2 o'clock. We should be out of your way. You guys should have the house back by 6 p.m. I hope that's okay. Sure, awesome. Thanks, Julie. Hey, Mr. Lindsay, before I let you go, who do you know that we should know? Who do you know that we can help? We want to keep our promise. They're averaging, the Hicks team is averaging 3 to 4 referrals during the transaction. Like national averages, you should be getting 2 referrals for every listing or buyer you work with. They're averaging 3 to 4 referrals during the transaction simply because everyone on the team keeps asking for help. So when you're in that mode and when you have an opportunity to continue to build that arsenal of reviews and referrals, we should be doing it. The value proposition also helps build strong and trusting relationships. And this is why we don't want to bloviate. We don't want to say that we're going to do stuff that we're not going to do. So as you're getting started, don't compare and contrast, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. Don't take, and if you got a veteran who's helping you, like, hey, look at my pre-listing packet if you want to, and you don't have a $10,000 drone to shoot imagery over luxury properties, don't tell them that you're going to do that. Take that bullet point off. But like whatever you're capable of doing, and you're going to build it over time, but don't just put a whole bunch of stuff so the page is full of bullet points. Know that whatever you tell them you're going to do in your pre-listing packet as your value proposition, you'll be able to hold up to. And don't forget, there's a lot of resources at the market center, right? Get real curious about what your market center offers and things that you could, everything that's here, you have an ability to use, right? And ask for that help. What do we got for questions so far? Comments so far? Deep thoughts? My mic on? I don't think it is. What if I just start whistling? Bruce Carey, best course this week. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. You see Nathan in the wild. If you see Nathan Dickey in the wild, tell him you thought it was okay. I'll say that at the end of this class. If at the end of this class you're dissatisfied, please during the review write down Nathan Dickey's name. If you enjoy the class at the end of this, please write down Ashley Rowell and Tim Lindsay. That would be awesome. We would appreciate that. Lisbeth, you're unmuted. Go ahead, my dear.
I love what Ashley is putting in the chat. Thank you.
My pleasure.
What happened?
Check out the chat. So I've just been throwing a couple links in there. I threw like the MREA link, Susan Scott's book in there.
Perfect.
MREA digital copy if you don't have one of those. And I threw in Mike's promise scripts.
Yeah, awesome. It's, you know, and again, that might not work for you. That's another thing. I'm going to go on a little side rant real quick. We got a lot of things. There's a lot of people at our company, and I'll pick on the whole industry, not our company, but you'll see a lot of agents. I think one of the things in our industry that seems to be running rampant is when people realize there's a gap somewhere, and let's just say real estate, they sort of go and create a tool, a system, or a model, or a class to address that issue. And then ultimately they're like, I'm going to go teach this class and then charge people to come to this class. And I'm not picking on people that do that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that person found a system, a model, or a tool that's working for them specifically, not that it wouldn't work for others, and they're teaching how they do it. So when you go to that class and it doesn't necessarily jive with you, don't be shocked. My point in saying all this, and I had this conversation earlier with one of our agents, I think sometimes people, you know, Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, this thing. And they're like, you know what? We've got all this stuff. We got the red book, right? And Shift's over here too. Here's the red book, right? We got all this stuff. We have all these tools and systems and models. And then for some reason, some shiny new object comes in and they're like, I'm going to go use that. And they haven't even cracked these tools open yet. So just like in our business, and you'll see this in Business Planning Clinic in the fall when you go to that class, they talk about things being foundational, right? You haven't earned the right to be creative until you're foundational. So we got to build the business and build a strong foundation before we can decide that we're worried about what shade of blue our business cards are. And if your business cards are blue, I'm not talking right at you, but I'm making fun of you a little bit because the perfect business card is not going to make your business perfect. Right? We overthink a lot of things. And I think as long as we are doing the fundamental stuff, which unfortunately, spoiler alert, the coolest stuff that we're going to do in our careers is going to come from the most mundane activities. And Diana, if you raise your hand, we're definitely not friends. Like, does anybody on this call absolutely love lead generation? Like you were doing it before you got to this. You've been lead generating since 8 a.m. and you're like, oh, 6, I got to go to Timmy's stupid class. Who loves lead generation? I'll wait. Thank you. Thank you for the honesty. Nobody loves it. What we love is what comes from the lead generation. So it's finding, and this is why when you get to the market center, your leadership probably has you do a DISC and a KPA, if not just a KPA. That's a cheat sheet for a productivity coach, so I can understand what corner of the sandbox you play in best. And if you know, like, oh, okay, I should be going to do this because of how I'm wired and because it makes me feel good, right? Like if what you're doing for lead generation doesn't inspire joy and like you finish and like you're throwing up in the back of your neck and crying a little bit, like that's not fun. Like, oh, I can't wait to do that for 3 hours again tomorrow. So we got to just find the thing that makes sense for us to do on a regular basis. And spoiler alert too, like, don't tell your friends what we get to do, like, we don't have to do this, right? You all left some other corporation or education and said, I'm going to go do real estate. And I trust there were probably 2 key reasons. You wanted to control 2 things: your bank account and your calendar. And then we get here and sometimes we turn into employees again. I'm just going to sit at my desk and wait for something to show up. No manager's coming by to drop a pile of paper on your desk. It's up to us to make the mess, right? Like Nate said to me, we're making omelets. You got to break some eggs. We're going to make a mess. But we have to get uncomfortable to get to the place where we are comfortable. And you're going to try some things that are lead gen that you might not like. And the faster you get through the list of things, and there's a huge list. In the business planning clinic, it's the second thing that we go through. It's right before lunch just to ruin your appetite. We talk about lead generation. And there's a massive list of things that you can do for prospecting and a massive list of things you can do for marketing. And you'll never run out of things to do. And the more we do that, the more conversations we have, the more changes that we make for people in our life, the reputation changes. And that will build the value proposition for you. You're going to get to a point in your career where somebody just calls you out of the blue. My friend Jackie said I should call you because apparently you're the greatest. You'd be like, I am the greatest. Sign here. Questions, comments, concerns before we move forward? Ashley, what am I missing? Talk to me.
The only thing would be you asked to circle back to the 3 Ps, 7 Ps.
Yeah, so this is a classic. This is a classic if you're calling expireds, which can be fun. It depends on what level of manic you are. Expireds are fun. The reason expireds are fun, or I guess maybe a little bit easier, and I know it's like, well, expireds, aren't they mad because their house didn't sell? Here's what we always know. What we know is they want to sell their home, or they at least attempted most recently to sell their home, correct? So the differentiator for me between a FSBO and an expired, that individual is probably mad at least at least one agent. Now, what's interesting is sometimes you call an expired and they don't even know they're expired. Like I call Raina, I'm like, hey, Mrs. Rodriguez, this is Tim Lindsay with Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains. How are you? The reason for my call, your home is no longer active in the multiple listing service. And I was wondering if you still intend to sell. And they're like, oh, because like you listed in like September and it snowed and the plow hit the sign and you'd like totally forgot that I was alive because I haven't called you since the Truman administration, right? Sometimes they don't even know they're not active, which is horrible. Sometimes they absolutely know and they're in a bad mood, but they're probably upset with one agent or that experience. To me, a FSBO, right? For sale by owner or frequently seen but overlooked because nobody cares. That FSBO is ultimately, I have to imagine, they're sort of done with the whole industry because they've decided they're going to do it on their own, right? And sorry, guys, bear with me on this. It's always a guy. Because we're idiots. Like women are smart. They're going to go hire a pro. Men are like, I'll do it. You know, this is the same guy that would grab a drill and go saw off his own molar in the garage because he had a sore tooth. So they go and they get a sign at Home Depot. They put their wife's cell phone number on it. Then they take 3 pictures in black and white or sepia tone with their wife's iPhone 2. And then they put it on her MySpace account because she has 7 friends, but all 9 of them are dead, right? Like this is that's your average FSBO, right? So at some point talking to the FSBO or the expired, let's go with expired, you're going to hear at some point, they're going to say, well, what are you going to do differently? They'll hit you with why should we hire you? And I gave you that language. Or they're going to say, well, what are you going to do differently that the last agent didn't do? Great question, Mr. Lindsay. I appreciate it. Most teams do the 3 Ps. My team does the 7 Ps. I'm happy to explain. And without fail, if they have any warm blood in their veins and they're slightly curious, they'll be like, yeah, I'd love to hear what that means. So most teams do the 3 Ps, Mr. Lindsay. And what I mean by that is most teams are going to put a sign in the yard, of course. They're going to place it on the multiple listing service. Don't say MLS. We have too many acronyms in our industry. And if you say MLS, they'll think it's they'll think it's a soccer league. Don't do that. Say multiple listing service. And then, so they're going to put a sign in the yard, place it on the multiple listing service, and they're going to pray for a sale. That's what most do. And you're probably at that point triggering for them because they're realizing that's exactly what my last agent did. So what are the 7 Ps, Tim? I'm glad you asked. So what we're going to do is obviously, Mr. Lindsay, I'm going to put a sign in your yard. 1. Number 2 is I'm going to place it on the multiple listing service so it populates locally. It's important to make this definition clear for them. I'm going to place it on the multiple listing service so it populates locally. Then I'm going to place it on the Keller Williams listing service so it populates internationally. Now, for most of them, and I couple of times would get pushed back and people are like, why does that matter? It does. We're in New England. We have massive medical, massive secondary education. If I go 2 miles that way, my feet are wet. And if it was snowing, I could go skiing over there or tobogganing, depending on what you want to do, right? I got mountains behind me, ocean over there. It is a destination part of the country with tech, medical, secondary education, some of the best universities in the world. So people all over the globe are looking for properties here. And when you start to hear of somebody in your market center has a buyer from Dubai, you can use that as a reference point, right? Whether they hear that or not. But I want you to make that delineation between locally and internationally. So put a sign on the yard, place it on the multiple listing service so it populates locally, place it on the Keller Williams listing service so it populates internationally. And you know what, Mr. Lindsay, I'm a man of prayer. I'm going to say a quick prayer. Then I'm going to get right back to work. And the last 3 are important because these are going to help you have your conversations when the house is not selling. I'm going to get right back to work and I'm going to promote it to other brokers. Promote it to other brokers. And what does that mean? That means open house, broker, open house, which is really important, especially if you know, and we're not going to talk about the last realtor, right? We're not going to talk ill will about anybody. We're talking about future greatness with us, not past negative with them. But if I know the last agent was Ashley Rowell and she thinks open houses are stupid, I'm going to drill down on promote it to other brokers. I'm going to promote it to other brokers. I'm going to prospect, and I'm going to say a word here, but I want you to think something different, but I'm going to say the word first. I'm going to prospect for buyers because our sellers want to hear what? That we're looking for buyers, right? But I'm telling you right now, you know what that means? It means you're looking for more listings. But we're going to tell our seller, obviously, I'm going to prospect for buyers. But what you're really doing in the morning is looking for more listings. Say yes. Somebody nod. Okay, perfect. But they want to hear buyers. Of course they do. And we're not being disingenuous by saying that to them. If I get Kristen to sell her house, unless she's moving into the woods, it's an option. It's New England. She's going to buy another house. That's creating a buyer. But to create a good business for myself and my team and my market center and my life and my wife and my kids, I'm going to get more listings. And then the final one is I'm going to price watch the neighborhood. Because what do? We put a house on the market and we compare it to everything that's currently on the market. Well, what if tomorrow somebody comes in with 1,000 more square feet, a 3-car garage, and a pool out back, and they're less than us? Does that change the conversation? Yeah, we're no longer selling your house, Mr. Lindsay. We're selling the neighbor's house now. So just to review the 7 Ps, put a sign in the yard, place it on the multiple listing service so it broadcasts locally. Place it on the Keller Williams listing service so it broadcasts internationally. I'm a man of faith, so I'll say a quick prayer. I'm going to get back to work and promote it to other brokers, open houses, broker open houses. And that's going to touch back on something I'll talk about in a second. I'm going to prospect for buyers and I'm going to price watch the neighborhood. Does everybody get that? Those are your 7 Ps. Those 7 conversations, or the last 4 conversations, are going to defend you for the rest of your phone calls when you're calling the Lindsays back to get the price improvement. Elizabeth, go ahead. Are we clapping or raising our hand? I don't know what's happening.
Clapping.
Oh my God, round of applause. I'd get up and bow, but you know. So to go back real quick, the reason we talk about promote it to other brokers is you might get on an expired call, you might get, well, hey, Timmy, where were you when my house was for sale? And if I know that Ashley Rowell had the thing, and again, I'm not going to talk about her, but if I know the last agent thinks open houses are stupid or they never do open houses, I'd be like, well, I apologize, Mr. Lindsay. You know what? I didn't know it was for sale. Now, that makes me look like an idiot for a second, which is fine too, though, because it's my genius zone. But like for a second, they're going to be like, how did you not know if it was for sale? Well, let me explain, Mr. Lindsay. Here's my other concern. I have clients that I'm working with right now that are looking for a house like yours. And my concern, always use concern. Don't say there's a problem. My concern is we didn't find it because it was parked in the wrong lot. And my point in that, when they're like, well, what do you mean by that? And they'll ask, because ultimately they want to reach to the phone and punch me at this point, but they're curious about what I'm talking about. I have buyers that are looking for a house like yours and we didn't find it. And I fear it's because it was sort of parked on the wrong lot. Here's what I mean. I've got a Ford Fusion. I didn't buy my Ford Fusion at Mercedes Holloway. I bought it at a Ford lot. And I fear where you were in the market, from what I see here on the MLS, my buyers who I educate so they can go out and look at properties that are appropriate for them, we're looking in their price range. And in their price range for a house like yours. And I fear they missed it because it wasn't in the price range in which they were shopping. And this is going to upset them. But why did it expire, everybody? I'll let someone unmute and say why it expired.
Price too high.
It was on the wrong lot. That's right, Connor. And honest to God, and I'm going to go back to what we talked about earlier. Cheryl said she wanted honesty. If this guy's pissed at me right now, I'm being honest with him. And I've always used this as a coach. I've always used analogies. Parked on the wrong lot. I pick on my stupid Ford Fusion. I didn't buy it at a Mercedes lot because it would have never been there, right? It's where it should have been. I found it where it should have been in the price point I was shopping. I'm going to be honest, but I always use analogies just to get to people to look at things differently. Because when you put it like that, they're like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. You know, I'm not going to a Subaru dealership to buy a Land Rover. You're just not. Nothing against either one of those vehicles. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Four-wheel drive. I respect you. So to connect to our value, we want the KW and the market center value. This is important if you're just getting started because you're thinking, well, Timmy, I don't really have a story to tell. So what am I telling them? If you just joined, what market numbers do you use? If you don't have a story to tell, whose story do you tell?
Your brokerages.
Amen. You steal the market center numbers. I say that politely. Of course, you're not stealing them. You're a member of the team, right? Because this goes right back to you, especially when you're talking to your friends. Hey, Connor, I saw that you got into real estate. What made you choose KW? Or when you're on your first appointment with an agent from another brokerage. And they're like, why did you choose KW? And you're like, well, education and training and the opportunity to have all these people that I can work with, and I feel supported. And if you know the market center numbers at that point, you know, last month we helped almost 500 families and blah, 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 blah. And we have to be careful about that language out in the wild. We can't say families. We have to say, I'll die on that hill. I'll die saying families and getting fired for saying families in public. We're helping families. And I'm big on that as a coach. Like I lose my mind when you guys start talking about, oh, last year I had this GCI or this volume. Nobody cares. How many heartbeats did you put under a roof? And I know you feel that way too. But we obviously, when we're discussing, right, we have to say groups. How many groups came through the open house? We used to be able to say families back in the good old days. I know I'm waving my cane at the clouds right now, but don't get yourself in trouble. It's groups. But it really is families served. It's groups served. That's more important because the amount of people, the amount of groups, the amount of loved ones, the amount of families that you put into a new home, what are they going to do? They're going to rave about you. They're raving about you now. Now they're helping your reputation for the people that have never met you, right? Absent a relationship with Bruce, all they have is his reputation. If you help more people, you create more raving fans. More raving fans build the reputation. And it's a way to replicate your greatness without being everywhere, which is difficult. You're the fiduciary. You're doing the things that you need to do to make sure that you have your client's best interest in mind and in heart. You want to be the market expert. And if you're not the market expert right now, at this market center, at this company, in this region, you're going to die on the hill of being the local expert. You're going to hear it time and time and time again. Just, and don't worry about like, oh God, I got to figure out everything in New England. No. What state are you licensed in? If you're licensed in a state, figure out what part of that state you want to be the mayor of and start with the neighborhood. You know, these 4 streets, I want to dominate over there. Some of our best agents at our market center, one of them, and he's one of the top agents in Maine, Troy Williams, we call him Prince Williams. He won't leave York. Like his mom could be like, we want to buy something in Kittery's, like you're driving and you're buying lunch. Like he stands on business about staying in York. And so how did he become the #1 agent? By getting talent to surround him in other parts of Maine. But he focused on York, laser focused on York. And he knows everything about York, capital V in there for the quiz later. Everything. So like I make fun of Nate all the time because we're like, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. I'm like, we're going to get Idaho next. And somebody was like, really? I'm like, no. You know, we have agents that get in, they're like, oh, I got my Mass license. I'm going to get Rhode Island. Thinking about West Virginia. Like, let's make money in a state before we underwhelm all the states, you know? So don't overthink it. Be the market expert, do that, drill down, and know your numbers for the community in which you want to serve. Because absent, you know, once the house is sold, once the brick and mortar is sold, what are we selling at that point? And how do we probably attract them to the house in the first place? We sold the lifestyle. You want to be the connective tissue of the community that you serve. If you can do that and do that well, people are going to find you. When somebody wants to buy a house, they go on Billo or they go on any of these aggregators and they look for a home. When people want to sell their house, they want to find the person in the neighborhood, the person in the community that has their finger on the heartbeat, that knows all of the people, that knows when things are happening, that could tell them market numbers in a split second. Get really good at that too. When you get stopped in Hannaford in the parking lot, hey, Donna, how's it going? How's real estate? Don't be like, oh, it's crazy. Don't do that. That's the pseudo answer of every realtor. Just turn around and be like, things are great. We're helping a lot of families. Who do you know that we can help? Like, ask a question, square your shoulders, get some business. Let's not be the caricature of our industry. Oh my God, it's so crazy. I'm so busy. Your heels are snapping off while you run back to your Porsche. Like, calm down. Have a conversation. Make them feel special, right? People want to feel heard and seen. And if we do that, we're going to win time and time again, for sure. Your KW Market Center value, have access to collective knowledge and experience of nearly 200,000 agents. That's worldwide. We got about 164,000 in the US, which is ridiculous, right? That's why things like Command and all the collective knowledge there is really cool. That's why if you're going to mega camp, if you decided San Antonio and 112 degrees in the shade is a good idea, that's why those trips are important. As a fiduciary, you can point to reputable resources for service providers such as handymen, window washers, tax associates, financial advisors. We are licensed real estate agents. We practice real estate. I don't care if you used to be a judge and you have the powdered wig. You are not, as soon as you put on the cape of real estate, you're not a lawyer anymore. You're not a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker. All of those things are other conversations. And I used to get real good at it. Somebody would say to me, well, what about with the lending and the stuff? And what was the interest rate if we did this? And I'd look at my watch and be like, you know what? Great question. And we're only a few days into August. Maybe something changed. Let's call Brad. That's our in-house lender that's been here forever. And it's not in a pass the buck kind of way, but I don't have the right answer. Brad will have the right answer. It's the speed in which we get them the information, but I would rather get them the right information a little bit slower than make something up on the spot. That is the worst idea. So as I say to all of our agents here, and I'll say to you tonight, when you get out of your car before you walk into the office, leave your ego in the trunk, right? And stay curious and be a student of the industry. And one of the easiest hacks in real estate, and maybe you're already doing it, Ashley, I know you probably did it too when you got started, when the phone rings. And when I got started in real estate, because I wanted to know who everybody was, like if Raina called me once, even if I thought I was never going to talk to Raina again because it was just for a showing, I put your full legal name in there, your favorite color, your cat's middle name. So when you called, I knew it was you calling. And if Raina was calling and we were in the middle of a transaction, I would let it go to voicemail. Because then I could listen to Raina's question on voicemail, get the answer if I didn't need it, and not so I called back with the right answer so my ego was in check. So I called back with the right answer so I didn't waste her friggin' time. And I didn't do that forever. Obviously, as a coach now, I don't let people go to voicemail. I can hopefully answer most questions. And if I can't, I can send them where it is. But in the first 30 seconds of my freshman year, Raina Rodriguez is calling. I'm like, oh, I'm going to let that go to voicemail because I have no idea what's going on still. Still trying to figure out my business cards and, and then I would listen and be like, oh, okay. And I call you right back. Be like, hey, by the way, yep, that's the date. That's the time. Or I could get the information call back. Hey, I got your voicemail. I talked to Brad. I'd footnote that I talked to people. We want this to be all about us. If you're in this business to make it all about you, you should probably go now. There, that's recorded for the region. We are here to serve people. We are in the service of the civilians that trust us with probably the largest transaction in their life. This is not about us at all. The market's the market expert. I can help you price your home and sell because I'm tuned into the market of the moment, and that's really important. I think people think of Shift. You guys know the Shift book? Yes, no, maybe. Just nod, pretend, just lie to me. Tell me you've heard of it. Awesome. Gary's got a bunch of books, all the books. This one's important. I would put it right next to the red book. It actually, these are the four. I call these the four gospels of Keller Williams. So I'm going to read them off to you real quick, according to me. The red book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. This is the blueprint for the industry. The red book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. You're going to buy this on Amazon. Okay. This is the leadership version, which is the spiral bound. It lays flat on your desk. It's very sexy. It's wonderful. It's also only available at Keller Inc. I know Gary's listening. Hi, Gary. Keller Inc. is not a bargain. He knows that, so it's fine. I'm just reminding him. If you want to buy these books, just go to Amazon. And as soon as you punch in Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it will populate all the other important books below it. This is the blueprint for the business. This is the playbook for the activities. And I think when people talk about Shift, they're like, yeah, you missed it. It was last Thursday at 2:30. It's not like the vernal equinox. The shift is always happening. What this book tells us is that we need to behave for the market that is yet to come. And people are like, well, so what do we do for the market that's yet to come? Keep lead generating. Because there's no answer like, oh, the next market's going to be this market, so do this. Behaving for the market that is yet to come is we have no idea what's around the corner. So all we can do is hope for the best, plan for the worst, and talk to more people. Does that make sense? The third book in the Gospels, according to me, for Keller Williams, is Gary's One Thing. This is what it looks like if you're old and your dust cover died in the fire. So this is the one thing. What's the premise of this book? Have you guys read this yet? The premise of this book, awesome, Raina. The premise of this book is what is the one thing that I can do that such by doing, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? Does anybody want to guess what that answer is?
Lead generation.
Diana's like paperwork. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, lead gen. Thank you. Lead generation. Lead generation. So there's that. And then this one is not written by Gary, but he's a Keller agent. His name is Michael Mayer. It's not John's dad. He cannot play the guitar. 7 levels of communication. And the mantra in this book, this is a great book, and he was just on the Millionaire podcast with Jason Abrams. Michael Mayer's book, 7 levels of communication. And the mantra in this book that I love, Raina, where are you from? What town are you in?
I'm in Nashua. I'm out of the Bedford office.
Nashua. Okay, perfect. I grew up in Chelmsford. It's
Okay.
like North Chelmsford, Nashua. Yeah, love that. Nashua. So the mantra in that book is today, somewhere in Nashua, someone's looking for help, and it's Raina's job to find them. Like that's the video game of what we do. That's why we have to have all the conversations we're having. You know, people are just like, well, nobody's buying right now. That's not true. That's not true. Nobody's listing right now. We're going to open up tomorrow at our market center. We're going to open up the Vermont MLS, the Mass MLS, the Maine MLS, and the New Hampshire MLS. And guess what? There'll be new listings. And I'll have a whole bunch of agents like, why wasn't I involved? Because you were hiding, right? Like if you're in your freshman year, and I say this with love, if you're in your freshman year, you're just getting started or you're just getting plugged back in. And I have to imagine it's one of those reasons that you decided to spend time with me on a Thursday night. And I love you too. Like there's some reason you're here. And if it's because you didn't want to bother people or I don't want to be salesy, we got to get that out of our head. If you plan to be a secret agent, I can promise you one thing. Every secret agent in real estate is one thing. Do you want to know what it is? Broke. Most of the secret agents aren't here because they didn't pay their electricity bill. There, I'm being fierce tonight. Like, you're going to be broke. And the reason we think that we're going to bother people when we call them is we fear that we don't have that value when we pick up the phone. But when you're picking up the phone to talk about your value proposition, I don't want you to pick up the phone and be like, hey, Drew, what's up? It's Timmy. Do you want to buy, sell, or invest today? No. Does your wife want to buy, sell, or invest today? No. Does your cat want to buy, sell, or invest today? No. All right, call you in a year. Bye. And then guess what Drew's never going to do again? Pick the phone up when he sees Tim Lindsay calling. You're like, that was a car accident. I'm never doing that again, right? And he's going to feel the same way when he sees me in his news feed. He'll cross the street if he sees me on a sidewalk. He'll blow a red light so he's not parked next to me in traffic. Like, that's horrible. All we need to do is call and have a conversation. Who has taken enough classes or maybe Bold or Ignite before and you know what the Ford acronym stands for? Does anybody know what Ford stands for?
Family, occupation, recreation. Oh my God, I forgot the D.
Dreams. Dreams are goals. Yeah, dreams are goals. Yep. Nice job. That Lisbeth, yes?
Yes.
Nice job. Yep. So, and what that really is, if you think about it, that is the organic conversation you're going to have with every human ever. Ever. If I get together with Drew, if my wife and I get together with Drew and his wife and we're out for cocktainis, we're going to sit down and be like, how are you folks? And then he's going to be like, how are your folks? I'm like, good, good. And I'll be like, how's Liberty Mutual? Because that's where he works and he hates it, by the way. He's going to get his license. And he's going to talk about his TPS reports and all that kind of stuff at Liberty Mutual. And then he's going to be like, how's real estate? And as soon as he asks me that question, politely, of course, I have to kick the door in and throw in a flashbang, right? So he's like blinded and confused. And at that point, I got to say, I'm really glad you asked. You know, I was just sitting with my coach the other day. I know I want to help 14 more families before the end of the year. Who do you know that I should know? Who do you know that I can help? Who do you know that we can serve? It's that simple. It's not the start of every conversation. And I say this all of the time. Like, I promise you, as a coach here at this market center, I want all of my agents, I want you guys tonight, I want it to get to the point that real estate's the background music. If you're walking into a barbecue this summer, they're like, oh, crap, here she comes. Like, if you're that person already, because you're handing out koozies with your logo on, nobody cares, by the way. I'm just kidding. I love you. Like, nobody cares, right? Just walk in and be a human, because what's going to come up? And what's the blessing of what we do? We're in an industry that everyone wants to talk about all of the time. Was it Kevin from The Office? Every of the times. Yes. They want to talk about real estate. If you sell life insurance, I don't know how you start a conversation at a cocktail party. So, Rainey, you thinking about dying soon? Is your family taken care of? Nobody wants to have that conversation. That's the worst conversation in North America. But everybody wants to live somewhere. It's child's play for us, but we feel like we're bothering people. And if you're a high D, you're listening to me right now and your brain's melting. And I know Nate Dickey, our fearless leader here at 463, feels the same way. And if Gary's listening, hi, Gary, you look great. He feels the same way. They want you to walk in the room like Nate Dickey is wired to put you in a headlock and be like, come on, we're going to buy a house today. Because he's a high D. I'm a high I. I'm just going to talk until you're like, I'll sign whatever you want me to sign. Just stop talking. But I'm going to hit you with questions. I'm going to ask you more questions about you. And we're going to find out the motivation. And I'm going to have enough conversations that when Raina tells me that she's truly 2 years out before she buys a house, that's okay. Because on my roadmap of real estate, do I plan on being in business in 2 years? Yeah. So I'll help Raina then. But I'll also stay in her ear every once in a while. What's up, kid? That house you talked about, it's on the market again, right? Because maybe she's fixing credit. Maybe she's truly saving. Maybe she's waiting for kids to graduate. There's all these reasons she might not be ready to move. More often than not, I promise you this, they just think they're not ready to move. If you're a homeowner and a parent, raise your paw right now. Like, I can promise you, me and my wife weren't ready to buy a house. We certainly weren't ready to have the 2 monkeys we had that we call our loving sons. Like, nobody's ready for anything. Like, oh no, we planned it perfectly. Nope. Nope. Life happens while you're planning to do other things. So we have to stay curious and keep asking them, you know, and that's our whole job. Our job is not to call our friends and sell something to them. Our job is to help them make a decision that's appropriate for them in the moment. And we only find out when the moment is right and what's appropriate for them by asking them. We help people make decisions. The word decide comes from the Latin decidere, which is to cut everything else off, which sounds grotesque, but here we are. So I'm just going to cut off all the other options till it's clear to them, oh, we should be doing this. And when they decide in the moment that it truly is 2 more years for Raina, I have to be excited for the opportunity in 24 months. Not attached to the outcome that she's not going to buy something today, because if she doesn't buy something today, my cable gets shut off. That's not her problem. That's my problem. Does that make sense? So when we're functioning about truly helping people and we're having enough conversations, we're never going to be worried that one of our 2 people has to buy something. I've got 15 active buyer conversations going on right now. And if you're living in that world with 6 active listings and 7 active buyers, you're probably in a better space than the agent that's, well, I don't have any active buyers or any active listings, and the rents do. But you know what? I didn't bother anybody this month. Good for you, Jimmy. Good for you. Sounds like a horror show. So let's just have the conversations we need to have and be okay with it. And it's just you talking to the people that you know and love and trust and finding out where they're at. It's not calling your friends in your phone to see if they want to buy, sell, or invest every day. Does anybody know what the DTD2 is? Sounds like a Star Wars character. So Steve Schlueter is one of the MAPS coaches that built a class called Never Ending Referrals. It's a tool called DTD2. It's Do the Database 2. Every time you get up in the morning, you can check every week at our market center. We put it in a morning email for our agents. This week you're calling C&K. You'll notice it's like A&W, like the root beer, B&E, like breaking and entering, which is interesting. And this week it's Calvin Klein, right? It's C&K. And then you're calling C&K, texting your T's, maybe your I's. I'm making it up at this point. But we talk about that every morning. Now, what does that have you do? That has you get through your entire phone every quarter. Because I think sometimes we're like, oh, I got to call all my people all of the time. Nope. If you're running a 36 Connect in your command, I only call Kristen, Drew, Cheryl, Diana. I only call all of my people once a quarter. Can you call everyone in your life 4 times a year? I need more nods than that. And people are like, no, but I put it on MySpace when I got my license to me 3 years ago. Everybody knows. Do they? You sure? You sure? We have to talk to them. I shouldn't say have to. You don't have to talk to them. You can navigate a real estate career without making phone calls. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. And apparently I'm talking so much. I have a question. Jesus. We're in a rough place right now. I'll tell you, we're in a rough place. Questions, comments, concerns before we skate forward. Deep thoughts. We have 28 minutes. I'm gonna warn you right now. We might go over if there's some questions. My wife loves this. She's like, I'll see you at midnight. She knows I'll be here till midnight. It's fine. Oh, the schedule. Look at Raul. Ashley's out of her mind. There's the schedule. It's that simple. It's that simple. So when you wake up, you're like, well, I'd call people, but I don't know who to call. It's right there. That's who you call. It's that simple. And you're overthinking it, and that's okay. I don't want to bother anybody. You're not bothering them. And what is one of the other great ones? Well, I haven't talked to it. I could call Connor, but I haven't talked to Connor in 7 years. Guess what? Connor hasn't called me in 7 years either. So whoever calls first right now wins, right? It's like adult battleship. Some of you will get that, right? Like whoever calls first wins. And it's going to be clunky. But after that, it won't be. And it's not, hey, Connor, it's Tim Lindsay. I got my real estate license, and I'm supposed to call everyone that I know and love and trust. And you're in one of those categories. Would you like to buy, sell, or invest today? Like, that's not the conversation. It's not it could be. Again, you'll be broke. The conversation is, And this is usually how it goes. Hey, Connor, what's up? It's Timmy. And he's like, Tim Lindsay. We played women's volleyball together at UNH. And like, this is where he's like, oh my God, we were just talking about you. There's always the white lie from the person that doesn't remember you to pretend they remembered you, but they're trying to navigate this 17 seconds of what is happening right now, you know? So and sometimes they remember right off the bat. And maybe you haven't talked to them for a while, but you're still on their phone. But worst case scenario, you're reminding them where you know each other from, and that can be clunky. And I would then from there, I'd be like, I'm so glad this is still your number. And Connor, I'm so sorry it's been so long. What do we both know? What does he know right now? He hasn't called me either, but I'm apologizing. Why are we apologizing? Because we, as business owners, have to take all of the blame. We have to take extreme ownership of the fact that the relationship is not where it should be. So I'm so glad you picked up. I'm so glad this is still your number. And I'm so sorry it's been so long. And I use this script always because we're all imperfect. Say yes. Is everyone imperfect? Is anybody perfect on the call? I feel like Diana feels like she's perfect because she does her paperwork and nobody else does. That's all right. She's judging us. She's still on mute. None of us are perfect. So I would say without fail, Connor, the reason I'm calling, I was thinking about you guys, and I made a resolution at the first of the year that I would talk to all the people that I haven't talked to in so long. And I'm so sorry it's August and I'm just getting to you. How are you? I'm making up names at this point. How's Stacy? How are the kids? Like whatever I know. And I'm going to storyboard before I make these calls and go find Connor on social media to see if he just had a major life event. If his parents just celebrated an anniversary, something I can pepper in. And it might be clunky, but I'm going to at least start to build that bridge again so I can get contacted with him again. Because I will get Connor, and this is a real number. Does everybody have their phone with them? Say yes. All right. Everybody grab your phone real quick. Because you're going to get the people in your life involved faster than you're going to get any number or name from Billo involved. I promise you that. If you have your phone, go into your contacts and scroll down to the bottom. And if everybody could figure out how many contacts they have in their phone. And I'm asking you this because I trust as your friend and your coach, you haven't moved all the people from your phone into Command yet. Does anybody move everybody from their phone into Command yet? I will buy you a Buick. That's what I thought. Okay. Connor's like, what's a Buick? They're wonderful cars. Your great uncle has one, I promise you. Yep. Who wants to read off their contacts? You have to unmute to do that. I feel like lips are moving. Am I having a stroke? I can't hear anything. Hello?
Are you asking how many contacts?
Yes, ma'am. Kristen, what do we got?
I can't even believe it. I have 887 contacts in my phone. I never would have guessed that in a billion.
887. I love it. Write that down. Cheryl Hilton has 1021. 1413. Diana, who's busy doing paperwork, has 1593. I'm going to drive down to your house and kick you if you don't get on the phone tomorrow. That's been recorded. I'm going to lose my job. I'm telling you. Now listen to this. Now you take that number, and here's what we know. Breathe. It's going to be great. 6% of the United States will buy, sell, or invest in the next 12 months. 6% of the United States will be involved in a transaction in the next 12 months. So take your number, Diana. If you're busy not doing paperwork, take a break. I'm giving you permission to stop doing contracts. 1593 times 0.06, Diana, and everybody else. Your number times 0.06. What's your new number, Kristen?
53.22.
22 is my favorite number, of course. Perfect. Perfect. You have 53 possible transactions in your world over the next 12 months. Now, veterans will say this all the time. Well, Timmy, okay, I've had that number in my phone for a while. I didn't experience that in the last 12 months. I know. And here's why. Write this down. It'll be on the quiz later. It's because you didn't invite yourself to the transaction. It does not mean that 53 people in your world, Kristen, in your phone are going to be transacting. 53 people in your world are going to be part of or right next to a transaction. When you're calling, the reason you're calling your friend Julie tomorrow to say, How's it going? Can we get together for cocktails or coffee? How are you? How's Bill? How are the kids? All those conversations at some point, because you ask about family, and like Lisbeth knows what's next, occupation. She doesn't want to talk about her job because it sucks, but we love her. Maybe she loves her job. Maybe she doesn't sell life insurance. And then she's going to say, hey, how's real estate? And that's when you get to say, I'm glad you asked. It's part of a class last night, and the coach was encouraging us to make sure that we talk to all of our people. Who do you know that I should know? Who do you know that we can help? According to statistics that I have, I know there's 53 families connected to the people in my life that are going to do something transactionally in the next 12 months, and I want to be a part of it because I want to help the people that I care about the most. And if they don't have an answer on the spot, and most of them don't, be okay with that. What you need to leave them with is, awesome, hey, just do me a favor. While you're out being a human in the universe, if you ever hear anybody say real estate, I need you to tackle them and call me. Because here's the challenge. When we get our licenses, and we all did it, I got my license. I went on MySpace. I made the announcement. I told everybody I got my license and I'm a realtor. And I'll have agents tell me this too. And this is, I promise you, this is real math. We have to tell everyone in our life 7 times we're in real estate before they forget. We have to tell everyone in our life 7 times we're in real estate before they forget. It's somewhere between the 7th and 20th interaction in which they're like, oh, Drew's still doing it. They're starting to build trust, or they become transactional. Because other math we know is the average American moves. It used to be every 5 to 7 years. It's probably 7 to 10 years, but let's just say 7 years. The average American moves every 7 years. So what's the probability that you're going to nail the day? So we have to be good at having conversations and being part of their life and being a human in the gap in those 6 years and 364 days in between transactions. Does that make sense, Kristen? So Diana's got 1593. What's your number? What's your new number, Diana? 1593 times 0.06.
95.58.
You got almost 100 deals in there, Diana. Now, truth be told, Diana, honestly, 95 deals for a solo artist, that's a migraine. That's probably no sleep. So you're going to need leverage to do that. But the probability that that's what's going on in your world around you with all those conversations is a very real thing. 6% of the United States will transact in the next 12 months. So having conversations with those people is important. Here, I always call this a stat, yet it's not really attached to math, but I'm going to say it out loud because it's going to scare you. And I mean to scare you, because why not at this point? The number one reason agents who are getting involved in real estate don't tell the people closest to them that they're getting involved in real estate is their fear is the next time they see that person, they won't be. I'll say that again. The number one reason agents getting started in the industry don't tell the people closest to them or tell all their people that they're getting started in the industry is their fear is the next time they see them, they won't be. Our ego is going to destroy our industry and our well-being in the industry from every angle if we're not careful. And earlier we talked about, like, if you hear anybody talking about real estate, tackle them and call me, right? And I make fun of that all the time because people, you know, I could talk to Raina in a couple of months and she'll be like, listen, Timmy, got through my whole phone. Everybody knows I do real estate. And I'd believe you, but there's another question to ask. And we could do this right now, but we won't because it's 7:43 and your friends will hate me. But I did it with an agent yesterday. We had a new agent started yesterday. And I said, you know, everybody, you know, who knows that you're doing real estate? And he's like, oh, right now, probably about 10 people. I'm like, well, that's a terrible number. We need to make that number bigger. I said, who are you willing to call? And he's like, well, call my mom. So I talked to our agent, Randall. I talked to his mom, Denise, yesterday. And it sounds like a hostage situation, but this is how it goes. So I had him call. He gave me her number. We call on my phone. So I'm holding my phone up against the microphone. And I'm like, hey, Denise, this is Tim Lindsay. I'm Randy's coach. He's here with me. He's safe, right? And I said, I got a couple of questions if you're willing to answer. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, first thing, Denise, what does Randy do? And she's like, well, he waits tables at the Orr House and at the River House, and he's getting back into real estate. Awesome. That's the right answer. Now, when it comes to real estate, Denise, I've got one more question for you, then I'm going to let you go. Thank you for your time. Denise, do you do know that he's doing real estate? And she's like, yes. I'm like, do you know how he does real estate? And it was that quiet. All of our people can't explain how we do what we do. Because it's an industry in which what? HGTV shows what? It shows you guys all dressed up, swinging open doors, saying, oh, we just had a price improvement. It's only 10.2 million right now. And you sell houses on television in 22 minutes minus commercials. They don't know the grind you get through to get to the client to buy the house for $10.2 million. And the challenge with our industry is they don't understand how we do it. They think you guys walk into your market centers and your OP and your TL and your MCA are handing out bags of money and free phone numbers. And there's people beating the door down at the office like, I want to buy a house with cash yesterday. Like, they don't think that we work really hard to get to the point just to serve somebody. And in any other industry, and I asked Denise, because he works in hospitality, I said, but if you went to Randy's restaurant, you know how that works. You know how to move his financial needle there. Like, if Raina had a food truck, we all know how to behave in that space. There's a social contract with a food truck. Like, we all understand. Go to food truck, order, pay, tip the hell out of Raina, eat, rave about it on Google, and when you get hungry, go back. And until you go back, tell all your friends about it. That's simple. If you had a food truck, Raina, and we called one of your friends, I said, do you know how she does her food truck? Well, yeah, I go there and I eat and I pay, and they would know the whole thing. It gets to real estate and they're like, I don't know. They can't even feel their legs. Like, they have no idea how to verbalize what we do. So we have to tell them. And I think you make it that simple and that ridiculous. So ask one of your friends tonight who you know, like Bruce, call one of your boys and be like, I know I do real estate. I got to ask you, Glenn, do you know how I do it? And when they can't answer the question, just simplify it for them. I do it through the people that I know and love and trust. I'm going to build my business through people that I have a commonality with, who I know have commonality with other people that I just haven't met yet. So Glenn, when you're out in the wild this weekend, tonight, tomorrow at work, and you hear anybody say real estate, tackle them and call me. And as soon as we let the people in our life know that they're empowered to help us, everything will change. Everything will change. Was that helpful? We're 14 minutes out. Ashley and I are in the same office. She's going to come down and kick me in about 10 minutes. We're getting to part 2 of tonight's class. I apologize. So we're going to skate through some slides and make sure that I didn't miss anything. I promise you, we could have moved faster. I think we probably touched all the high notes, I hope. Purpose of real estate for buyers. Their goal is to find just the right home at the best price in the right time frame with the least number of problems. Sellers, same. Their goal is to net the most. And when you start to get pushback on when people, and this is a whole nother class for another time, but I can promise you this is the top of the conversation. When you're having a conversation with somebody, a seller for sure, and they're going to ask you, what your fee is. When you're having the fee conversation, I promise you, your sellers aren't worried about your fee. They're worried about their net. So talk to your brokers, talk to your leadership at your market centers. You will learn it in classes on doing a net sheet. And it's the way in which you roll out all the math to show them that you can still be compensated fairly and appropriately in this industry and still win them their net. The top 10 service areas of buyer value proposition, the needs analysis. That's us asking questions. When do you need to get there? What's important about getting there quickly, right? And I love when you're having these conversations with buyers or sellers, certainly with buyers, like, hey, Mr. Lindsay, if I could get you into the house that you want in the time frame that you're talking about, would that be a problem for you? Because when you ask it that way, they're like, no, of course it wouldn't be a problem. Awesome, sign here. Like, I always do the negative positive. Pre-qual and pre-approval. Have lenders. Like, we've got a great in-house lender. He's been in business with us since the dawn of time. You don't want to have just one lender, though. Our best lender doesn't do all of the things. Make sure you have an arsenal of lenders that take care of all the products. Build those relationships. Neighborhood information. Obviously, you want to be able to talk about, and this is why you can't possibly cover all of New England. And we probably have an agent somewhere in the region that has 6 licenses. God bless her. But like, there's like, I don't know. That's focus on, if you're getting in and you have a license in one state right now, focus on the neighborhood in your area where you want to be mayor and get good at that. Get good at that. We don't want to spray and pray. Like, oh, I'm going to serve all of Rhode Island. Just pick a section of Rhode Island. And don't get in your head like, well, I can't possibly go to that neighborhood in Rhode Island because there's already a mega agent there kicking ass and taking names. Okay. And there's business for you too. We hear this all the time too with the constricted market. And obviously there's more active listings coming on, which is great. But we hear people all the time like, oh yeah, well, there's not enough active listings. There's not enough business. Even though the opportunity may be smaller, it does not make your opportunity smaller, right? Because 20% of the agents in the marketplace in the country are going to be doing 80% of the work. All you need to do is be part of the 20%. And you might be amongst this number, and I want it to change for you tomorrow. Don't forget, come to Fight Club if you want, kwfightclub.com. How many agents in your market center did 2 to 3 hours of lead generation this morning? Try not to laugh. Most of them didn't. Most of them don't. And I'm not saying it's wrong. We have a lot of agents who have gotten to a point 5 to 7 years into their industry, and they're like, well, it's just coming back to me now. Cool. And what if you still did lead generation? Because what does Shift tell us? Behave for the market that is yet to come. Well, what is yet to come? We don't know. So if I were a squirrel in New England with winter coming, I'd shove more nuts into the tree. Not just be like, I feel like I got enough nuts. Like, I don't think you do. You know? And what does that number look like? I don't know. I usually ask this at the top of every class, so I'll ask it right now, just to prove that we're all in the right place. Anyone on the call currently have too many listings? Please raise your hand. Come off mute. Tell me about your greatness. Does anybody on the call have too many listings? Second question. This is not about greed. Does anybody on the call have too much money in the bank? Because what is that number? It's going to be different for everybody. Right? It's like the Powerball conversation. Like when the number gets really big on Powerball, you're like, oh my God, what would you do? And everybody inherently talks about doing good. I would do this, I'd do that. I'd pay off my nephew's student loans. I get my niece a new car because her car sucks. It's a Ford Fusion. She bought it on the wrong lot. You know, whatever the conversation is. But nobody sits there and they're like, I would get sharks with lasers. Nobody's like Mr. Evil, Dr. Evil. Like nobody does that. Nobody's like, if I had all the money in the world, I'd do bad things. Nobody does that. Right? And the misquote that we always hear is like, money's the root of all evil. No, the love of money is the root of all evil. And the quote that you'll hear all the time here at KW is money is good for the good that it can do. And we think like, well, if I ever get there, if I had that money, we are capable of setting as many appointments as we want. And every market center is going to be different. For our kids at our market center, our average GCI check's 11 grand. And you might be in a market center and be like, that's a big number. You might be in a market center and like, that's a joke of a number. Doesn't matter. That's our reality here. We serve 4 states. Our average GCI check's about $11,000. And they're allowed to get one of those as many times as they want. And most of our friends are probably sitting in a corporate environment making somewhere between 60, 70, 80, 100. And I'm not judging what people do. I'm talking about our ability to create whatever we want is on the other side of us behaving differently tomorrow. It's that simple. And it's not hard work. I mean, if we think about it, everybody has a mouth that works. Clearly mine does. I've displayed that tonight. I love you all, right? Everybody's mouth works. You all have at least a handful of friends and you've got a phone. That's all you need. And most of you in April, this is said with love, most of you in April are going to lie to your CPA and be like, it's a business expense. You're on Tinder and Candy Crush, right? It could be a business expense if you actually got some business with it. So lift it to your face tomorrow between 9 and 11, 9 and 12 if you're feeling frisky, and talk to a few humans. We have the math to back it up. I can promise you this. Nobody's going to be insulted when you call and say, hey, Raina, what's up? It's Timmy. I'm so sorry it's been so long. I was thinking about you. How are you? How are the kids? Nobody's going to be upset. They might be in a rush. It might not be the appropriate time. And if it's not the appropriate time, hey, I'm so sorry. When is good for you? I really do want to connect. Or I'll shoot you a text. Let's do coffee or get a cocktini or whatever. Just be authentic, be real, and just reconnect with people. If you're rebuilding that bridge, it's not about being transactional in the first conversation. If buy, sell, or invest comes out in the first 12 seconds of your phone call, I will find you and kick you in an appropriate place, of course. We're friends. It's equal opportunity violence, by the way, here at 463. I kick everybody. But we just got to be real with ourselves. We make it way bigger than it needs to be, way scarier than it should be. We're going to do the home search. We're going to make an offer. We're going to negotiate. These are all scripts that we work on, conversation blueprints we work on, vendor coordination, pre-close prep, the closing, and the post-closing. Very important. When you're working with buyers and you're getting your first check, Connor, have you done your first deal yet? I love that. So when you're leaving your first deal, let's assume it's a buyer and you get your check from the title company. And whether you get paid at the table at your market center or you have to bring it back to your MCA to get paid, however that works for you, Connor, please don't race out of the building on the way to the bank so you can cash it and get a tattoo and some fried dough at Hampton Beach. That's what the kids do up here. It's pretty cool. Like, take some time to have a conversation with your buyer, and this is going to be groundbreaking. I know, write this down. It'll be on the quiz later. Stay in touch with your buyer, because what are they going to do in 7 years? They're going to sell that house. Because they're going to get divorced or pregnant or a new job or sick of their neighbors. And if Connor drives by in 7 years and he's insulted that Ashley's selling the house because he didn't stay in touch, you're not allowed to be upset. The number one epidemic in real estate is the orphaned buyer at the table. I never talk to them again. Well, I don't need to talk to them. They're my client for life. Are they? Are they? Because they're working with somebody else now. And it's all about just staying in touch at that point. We're so far behind. I apologize. The seller areas, doing a needs analysis. Again, we just ask questions. What's important to them? Finding out what they're looking for. Time frame. What they want to net is obviously important. Why they're moving, right? And we want to get to their motivation as soon as possible. So when they get out of whack and they're like, well, no, we want to sell it. We need them to make an offer that's $80,000 more over asking. Well, no. You told me your aunt is down in Naples, Florida, and she's stage 4, and you're trying to get there to be with her. And now you're trying to grab 80 grand. Like, what's going on, Gary? What are we doing? You know, let's have an honest conversation. And you can be that person and be that forward with them. Cheryl said she wanted honesty. I would have that conversation. As you can imagine, I can be a jackass when I need to be a jackass. I'm going to be honest with people and bring them back to their motivation. The reason we're selling is so you can be in Florida and be with your aunt. The pricing strategy we're going to go over. Property preparation, right? We're going to talk about things that can be done. They're going to decide what they're willing to do, any conditions they're not willing to make. And you guys are going to have a whole class about this coming up. Any conditions we're not willing to improve, we're going to have to obviously augment our pricing based on that. Like, some people aren't willing to rip up all the rugs and put in new hardwood flooring because you're not trying to make an aesthetic change for buyers who haven't bought the house yet. But you could say, well, we know the rugs are probably going to get replaced, and we've put in a buyer's credit for X, or we augmented the price for this reason. You don't want to replace the roof, but you know the roof is beyond its life design. Then you get some local quotes and you factor it into your pricing. My local quote is $40,000. I don't need to drop my price $40,000. I need to tell the seller that we changed our pricing based on the roof's condition. You picking up what I'm putting down? Excellent. We're going to go over the marketing strategy. We're going to receive that offer. We're negotiating. We're selling. We're prepping it for close. We just had a conversation this week. You got to make sure your sellers know that when they leave the closing table, they don't get to go back and pack their house up. The house has to be packed before they get to the closing table. You'd be amazed at some of the conversations that we've had at our market center most recently. And then, of course, the closing, and again, the post-closing. Oh, I've worked with the Lindsays. They bought, And then Janina got pregnant, and they bought another house. We're on the 5th house. They're my client for life. When the ink is dry and the contract gets recorded at the county, they are everyone's again. I know emotionally we like to say, well, they're customers for life. They're my clients for life. They're not. They're not. There's a great line in Susan Scott's book, Fierce Conversations. No conversation will make or break a relationship, and yet anyone could. So if you can't remember the last time you talked to your past client who's a client for life, and then you drive by and somebody else's sign is in the front yard. But I just talked to them 8 years ago. Did you? Are you sure? Or did you leave a text or a voicemail? What buyers want most from their agents, and I appreciate if you guys got to go, but we're going to skate quickly. I promise you. They want help to find the right home to purchase. That's the big one, 52%. 13%. Help the buyer negotiate the terms of the sale, obviously. Help with price negotiations, 11%. 24% is an other. I love that they have other. We didn't decide to just put some more answers together. That's fine. It's all right, Gary. We'll get there. Factors buyers value when choosing an agent. The agent is honest and trustworthy. All the things that we heard from Cheryl, right? Agents experience. How long have they been doing it? The reputation of the agent. Absent your relationship, all they have is your reputation. We talked about that, right? And then other is the other big piece of the pie. What sellers want most? Helping price the home competitively, which is funny because then we get there like, no, it's worth $9 million, Timmy. Help the seller market the home to potential buyers, of course, and we're going to do that by talking to sellers. I promise you that. I promise you that. If you have a listing, the buyers will show up. You will not need to find buyers. So this is going to sound a little backwards, and you're going to trip over buyers on the way to your next listing. And if I'm flying in the face of what your leadership is teaching you at your market center, I'm not trying to pick a fight. I trust they probably agree with me when I say this. If you're just getting started, your first thing that you should be looking for is your first listing. Just go look for your first listing opportunity. Because on the way to the kitchen table, in pursuit of a listing, you're going to run into people who are qualified buyers who are unrepresented, also looking for listings. We want to attract that energy. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is, even if you're on a team, and this happened to me. I remember when I got here, I was a solo artist, and then Nate was stepping out of production. Jennifer Vashon, our TL, was moving into lead list on the team, and Nate's like, we want to build out a team. Come be our lead buyer specialist. I'm like, all right. And I was licensed in Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. We didn't have Vermont yet. I wanted Idaho, but we didn't have time. And I was an idiot. So I decided, rather than put that I'm licensed in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine, I put buyer specialist under my name. I wasted more time, Raina, explaining to people what a buyer specialist was. And when I was done, I had them convinced that I worked with only what, Raina? Buyers. One of my best friends, a story we don't have time for, that I grew up with in Chelmsford, Massachusetts, sold his house in Nashua, bought another house in Londonderry. You know what that price point is, right, sister? Yeah. Over 1.2 million in total volume. This is years ago, of course, when houses were affordable. Welcome to the show. 1.2 in total volume that I did not get from one of my childhood friends because his wife and he were convinced by me that I only worked with buyers. This is the portion of the show where I would usually leave the screen and go lay in traffic for 10 minutes, then come back. Well, we don't have time. Don't do that. When you're out in the wild talking to the humans about real estate, you are a real estate agent. I don't care what your role is on your team, because there's not a single team lead in North America that would be upset if Raina, buyer specialist, walked back in and said, hey, Ted, I got us a new listing. They're going to be thrilled. Because what do we need? What does our industry require right now? More active listings. So discuss your greatness in the wild with the humans, with the consumers as a real estate agent. Do not pigeonhole yourself. I speak from experience. It was horrifying. Factors sellers consider when choosing an agent. The reputation of an agent, there it is again. Agent is honest and trustworthy. Agent is a friend or family member. More often than not, on both sides of this conversation, sellers and buyers will work with the first person they sat with. You have a better chance to win. Now, that doesn't mean if you know you're the third appointment, you shouldn't take it. Go be better because you are. But if you can get in first, get in first. Factors sellers consider when choosing an agent. Are these slides repeating? Am I that senile? Are these doubles? Ash, I don't know what I'm doing. All right, we're skipping over. KW Technology and your value proposition. This is another great thing. You can make sure that they have access to your mobile app, which talks to your command mobile. If you're talking to them through the mobile app for the consumer and your command mobile, all of those conversations end up in their contact page inside your database. Your database is going to be the most important thing for you at the end of your career. Wildly important for you at the end of your career. So continue to build that. Three steps to define your value proposition: knowledge, attitude, skills, and beliefs, or habits. They actually call it it's the cash. Think cash: knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. What do you do every day to make you different, to make you better? Transform the value you provide and the value of KW and your market center into benefits, right? When we talk about walking through a house, especially with a buyer, and you're taking them on a tour of the house, this is always fascinating to me. And people are just like, when I walk into a room, I know this is going to blow your mind. If I walk into a room and I see a sink, an oven, and a refrigerator, I don't need Drew to be like, Mr. Lindsay, guess what? We're in the kitchen. Thank you. I know you guys can't see, but I'm a buoyant gentleman. I am the fat kid, right? Like, well, I know when I'm in the kitchen. Trust me, I do my best work in there. There's no need to tell me I'm in the kitchen when I can see all the appliances. Don't tell me I'm in the kitchen. Talk to me about the lifestyle I will have in that kitchen, right? So don't talk to me about, hey, we've got all this stuff. We want to talk about the benefits, not the attributes, the benefits. How does this backyard benefit me? Don't open the door to a 2-acre backyard and be like, it's got a big backyard. Talk about the possibilities in that big backyard, especially if I told you in our first meeting during the needs analysis that I have 32 Irish Rovers and they need a big backyard. That's why you're showing me the big backyard. And then build on your value proposition statement, which is all the stuff that's probably inherently in your buyer packet, seller packet. Your value proposition: knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. Transform the value you provide and the value of your market center into benefits for your clients, right? Talk about the ability to help them, and especially find this out. You'll be able to get this from your market center easily. Find out in the last 12 months how many clients bought and sold under your roof. Your market center obviously helped sell their house. Their house was sold to a client of an agent at your market center, and then they bought a listing that was at your market center. And if you can replicate that math and talk to them about this is one-stop shopping, it all happens under this tent, that will help build your value proposition. We got to the last slide. I skated quickly for sure. Now, this is important. If you scan that and fill out that information, which I put none of it, obviously it's session 4 of Ignite. If you didn't enjoy the class, my name is Nathan Dickey. And her name is Matthew Erdman. If you enjoyed the class, my name is Tim Lindsay. Her name is Ashley Rowell.
I put our contact information in the chat as well.
Yeah, super appreciate that. There's our email and our cell phone. If you guys got questions, comments, concerns, I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe I said something too fast at some point. And if you see, honestly, if you see our regional staff in the wild, you see Maggie, or you see Jen Bovey, or Nathan, or Maddie, just tell them you enjoyed our class. Just like you guys want great reviews, we do too. Because otherwise, Maggie would be like, I shouldn't have let Lindsay teach. That was a bad idea. I think that's it. Is that it? Did you guys all get the last one? I apologize. I skated quickly. You guys all got that? You're good? Not that everybody has to leave a review. You don't have to leave a review. This is like when you're getting your Taco Bell. They're like, could you fill out the QR code? Like, no, I want my burrito, actually. That's all I want right now.
KWFightClub.com.
Yeah, KW Fight Club if you want to hang out with us for that. There's another thing that we're doing, but I'm gonna give you a heads up on this. So a couple things to write down. We've been doing KW Fight Club or Fight Club for, we're in our 3rd year of that right now. And we have a lot of agents, and I promise you, should you join us tomorrow at 9 o'clock, you'll notice that the digital room is not full. Because people don't love doing lead generation, and that's fine. I'll be okay with that. We're providing a space. It's like a study hall. So we're just going to keep that going. Join us for that tomorrow. Additionally, if you'd like to join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we also every day at 1 o'clock at our market center do something called the midday protocol. You guys familiar with the 15th protocol? Has anybody heard the 15th protocol? It's basically on the 15th day of the month, you take stock of where you are in relationship to your goals. And then obviously you make changes. So we call it the midday protocol. Every day at 1 o'clock, we get together and have a conversation about 3 lead indicators. How many conversations did I have in the last 24 hours? How many appointments did I set to sit with buyers and sellers in the last 24 hours? And how many contracts did I get signed? And 0 is a number. So if you want to join us tomorrow, you can just join us. And that is, what's the link for that? Why am I oh, you're coming to mine.
Tim's
You're coming
office.
you're coming to mine. I'm sorry. You're coming to my, you go to my Zoom, which is timsoffice.com. timsoffice.com for that. So this will be a little confusing. We're doing it tomorrow. Then we're taking a 2-week break because I'll be in Texas for Mega Camp. And then the week after that, I'm taking my son back to school in Illinois. So we will be back after tomorrow. We'll be back towards the end of August to do that and have that conversation. It's just a place, even if you come in tomorrow at 1 o'clock and just watch the rest of the people talk about what they're doing and not doing, it's a great place to just start to remind yourself, these are the conversations I should be having. Okay? If we can help with anything, you got Ashley's information, you got my information. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Any questions or comments before we go? Can we help with anything? Anything we didn't touch on? Anything you missed? Or does everybody just want to go to bed? I understand. Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate that. Deep thoughts, anybody? Connor's on Wikipedia like, what is a Buick? They were amazing. They were amazing.
One of my buddies growing up had a LeSabre. So
Oh, I love
it was
that.
good.
I
Yeah,
love
loved
that.
it. Yeah.
Killer.
Nice car.
Killer.
Uh-huh.
Killer. Awesome. All right. If you guys are good, I'm going to let you go. Sorry about hanging you up for 10 minutes. If you need anything, let me know. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.